If you like horror, hit that notification bell, smash that like button, and push that subscribe button now.
What's the boogeyman?
Hello, Sydney. Welcome to my nightmare. We want the man who did this.
Welcome to Nick Push's Horror Channel.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Who's ready to talk some Halloween Kills tonight? I was going to make a video on this and decided it might be more fun to go live and kind of just get my thoughts out there live. I'm going to get to the chat in a minute, but make sure as you guys filter in, tell me what are some of your favorite high points of Halloween Kills and some of your low points of Halloween Kills. But for me, I started watching Halloween Kills the other night. It was like Saturday night. It was like 11:30. It was late at night. And couldn't find anything to watch that I wanted to watch. So I was like, oh, I'll just turn on the flashback scene of Halloween Kills. And I ended up watching the whole thing. And what it did was it reaffirmed what I've been saying, that Halloween Kills has the highest highs of the new trilogy and the lowest lows of this new trilogy. What they did well, they did very well. And we're going to talk about that. And what they did not so well, they did extremely not so well. And we're going to talk about that too. So thought it might be fun just to get on live and do this instead of making a video. Sometimes it's easier to do it that way. And I get the chat. I get to talk to you guys. So let's see who's in the chat, and then let's get right into this. Allie is here. Allie, loyal channel member. Allie, how you doing? Allie says, happy Monday, Nick. I'm going to enjoy this one. Yeah, Allie is on record, if I'm not mistaken, as saying that Halloween Kills is her favorite of the new trilogy. And I know you're not alone in that, Allie. There's a lot of people. For me, I go back and forth on this shit all the time. Joe is in the house. So is Katie from Poppin' the Popcorn. Hey, Katie, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Joe says the highs when it was over. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, Joe. There's a lot of lows. There's definitely a lot of lows in this movie. A lot of great things. And Joe, yep, Joe's pointing out I'm wearing my Brewers gear. I don't want to say where Joe's from because I don't want to give that away, but I am born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so I am always a Brewers fan, and they're in first place this year again. So hopefully they can do some stuff in the playoffs this year for once. Ellie says she is a big Halloween Kills stan. Stan, Ellie, is that what the young people say for fan? I'm too old. She says, Michael, James, Jude, Courtney, and the kills are my favorite part. Yep. Travis, what's up, man? Where'd you go, Travis? There you go. Travis says, hey, let's bring back all these returning characters back. Oh, and they're dead. Well, we're going to be talking about that, my friend. We are definitely going to be talking about that. And Wayne Turner's in the house. Don't even have to read it, but I will. He's from Sydney, Australia. Slogans die tonight. Slogans die tonight. Yes. Scott Royston, another channel member. Scott, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Scott says he loves kills. All right. I'm going to be reading the chat. Don't worry. But we're going to get into this right away. Basically, what I did was I made 6 high points, extremely high points for me in Halloween Kills, and 5 extremely low points. Because like I said earlier, this movie has just some amazing high highs and amazing low lows. And that's probably why it's the most frustrating movie for me, probably in the franchise. I would say at some point, or at one point, that was probably Halloween 6 for me, that had a lot of high highs and low lows. And it was really frustrating to me. But now Halloween Kills is probably my most frustrating, just because, like I said, they did so many things right. But as we're going to talk about, they also did so many things wrong. Blake is in the house. What's up, Blake? Says the mod is here. Everyone act right. Yes, Blake is a channel moderator. You guys better behave yourselves or he'll give you the boot. And I know he's just drooling over that power. Travis, we are definitely going to talk about that fucking line, man. All right. Let's get to the first high of this movie. We're going to go one high and then one low. First high of this movie for me, it's easiest easiest thing to talk about when you're talking about what's good in this movie, and that's the fucking flashback. Uh, I am on record before Halloween Kills came out, like a lot of people are, or were, I should say. And I was concerned about the flashback. I was very, very concerned about the flashback. I made countless videos talking about how they don't need to do this. What are they doing? Why go back to 78? You're going to ruin it. I saw it and I was fucking wrong. Okay. I remember sitting in the theater when this flashback happened, and it was interesting the way they did it, right? The movie opens with Cameron, of all people. And remember, Cameron in 2018 was not that likable, clearly, right? He was kind of a douchebag boyfriend to Allison. Cameron had a nice redemption arc in this movie. But it starts with Cameron finding Hawkins. And then you get Hawkins, kind of spitting up blood and things like that. How he survived, another story. But you have Hawkins then, starts saying, it needs to die. It needs to die. Kind of hearkening back to the Loomis tapes from 2018. And then boom, we're cut right into the flashback with Myers walking down that alley and young Hawkins shooting at him. And the first thing that pops in my brain when this flashback happens, besides the fact that I start gripping the seats of the chairs in the movie theater like I'm on a goddamn roller coaster, because I get, the hairs on my neck start standing up because this is fucking Halloween 1978, man. The first thing that, popped in my mind was, holy shit, they got the score. They did the score. They actually nailed the 78 score. That didn't even pop in my mind. When they're talking about the flashback, that they were going to have the exact same score. So I thought that was really cool. But you get, the shape and, a pretty damn good 78 shape mask, right? Pretty damn good. Was it perfect? No, but it was pretty damn good. There's some parts with the eyes and things like that. But you get Hawkins, who, they set up that he's a terrible shot, right? And Michael takes a left turn and he's gone. So you got that aspect right away. And then, we get some dialogue about, Michael's window and the radio tower. Yeah, that paid off, huh? But anyway, and then we cut to Lonnie, and, Lonnie's getting picked on a little bit by whatever the hell those kids' names are. I can't remember. The family ended up being the cop that Allison was banging in Halloween Ends, I believe. But then you get the great scene with Lonnie, and Michael standing behind him. And then we cut to the Myers house, right? So fucking good. They nailed everything about the Myers house. The gutter and the broken window. They show us the dog. The wallpaper is the same. Just fucking incredible. Absolutely incredible. Mulvaney, thank you, Travis. But they just nailed this flashback. Once again, was it perfect? No, of course not. Nothing is perfect. But they did way better than I ever thought they would. And say what you want about this new trilogy. Say what you want about it, because people have said it all, right? They've absolutely said it all. Whether you're a Halloween Ends defender or a Halloween Ends hater, whether you hate that Jamie Lee Curtis has turned into Linda Connor, or whether you love it. Say whatever the fuck you want about this trilogy. They gifted us this flashback, and I just think it's a gift. Like I said, I think it's awesome. I'm going to get into a lot of lows about the movie as we go on tonight. But the fact that they nailed this flashback is something that we're always going to have, and I don't think we'll be able to get anything like that ever again. So we gotta be thankful for that. Absolutely bravo to David Gordon Green and everyone else involved in that. It was great. Now, I had some issues with, Loomis and not really his look, but, the voice and Deputy Hawkins. Did he kill again? Yeah. Didn't like that, but minor nitpick there. The flashback was great. All right, we're going to get to my first horrible low in a second here, but let's see what you guys are talking about in the chat. Blake's out. Thanks for stopping by, Blake. Wayne Turner, too many characters are idiots in Kills, plus Laurie's barely in it. Or we're going to be talking about that first part. We're definitely going to be talking about that first part. Mike Pistone. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Let's see. Oh, yeah. Travis says there's a police siren mistake. I know he was saying, so I'll have to remember what Travis told me about that. But there's a little mistake with the police siren. That's the ultimate nitpick. Just like my Loomis thing. But yeah. Wayne Turner flashbacks live tonight. Yes. Michael Joe is in the house. What's up, Michael? Scott says, yep, Halloween Kills, best of the trilogy. Yep, we're going to begin to my thoughts on that at the end here. Some of this other stuff that I'm skipping over, I'm going to be talking about, so don't take it personally. If I skip over your comment, we'll get back to it. And Travis says Lori barely being in it was a positive. Yeah, I'm mixed on that too. But I don't think it was a negative. I don't think it was a positive. All right, let's get to the lows. My first low of this movie, and this is tough because there's a lot of lows in this movie. Just like I said, there's a lot of highs. My first low, it's going to be the dialogue. I don't know who wrote this fucking shit, but it's cringeworthy. Obviously, the big joke is evil dies tonight, right? Terrible. It wouldn't be terrible if it was said once or twice. But you get Marion saying it. You get Tommy saying it. And then you get Tommy chanting it in the hospital. Then you get Brackett saying it. And it's just on and on and on. It's become, meme worthy, right? Evil dies tonight. Okay. If it was just that with the dialogue, yes, we'd make fun of it, but it wouldn't be egregious. But we have other shit. We have, like Travis mentioned earlier, Marion Chambers, when Myers enters the car or whatever. This is for Dr. Loomis. What the fuck? Really? Would you really say that in that situation? Really? What about Brackett? It's Halloween, Michael. Everyone's entitled to one good scare. What? I get that was for us, right? That was not for Michael. That was for us. But am I supposed to buy the fact that Brackett would say that? That he would remember a throwaway line that he said to Lori as she bumped into him in the street 40 years ago. The same night that he finds out his daughter died. He's going to remember that line. And then say it to Michael when they finally get him cornered? What the fuck? What the fuck? Absolutely ridiculous. Not to mention, when we're talking dialogue and plot and shit like that, let's talk about Allison for a second. So this whole time they're in the hospital, before Allison leaves the hospital, right? She knows that Sartain is the reason that Michael ended up at Lori's house. Right? She knew that the whole time. She never said it to anyone. Except for the cop, right? Except for when she's talking to the cop, right? She never said that to anyone else. She didn't tell it to Karen. She didn't tell it to Lori. Meanwhile, while this shit is going down, you got Karen and Lori thinking that Michael's going to be coming to the hospital because he's after Lori. Why wouldn't Allison have mentioned that? Fucking plot bullshit. And then let's get to some of Lori's lines, where she's thinking she's in Shakespeare, and I get it. Loomis had some lines like that in the OG. It worked with Loomis. No, not because he's a man, because he's a fucking doctor. Okay. The way Lori was saying some of these lines, the transcends line is the obvious one. And I'm the one that needs to do it. She's saying all these lines. People don't talk like that. I'm sorry. They do not. It's like you're reading a fucking script. Like the dialogue in this, and thank God they cleaned it up in Ends. I mean, Ends has its own problems, obviously, but they cleaned it up in Ends, at least the dialogue portion. But I think the dialogue in Kills is probably the worst in the franchise. So that is my first low point. We'll read the chat in a second, and then we're going to get to some high points. We're going to get back to the positives, guys. We're going to get back to the positives. Blake with a super chat. That is going to be a no comment, Blake. No comment. You can text me, Blake. I'll tell you a story. But thank you for the super chat, buddy. No, that's not even Blake. It's Ronnie. Sorry, Blake. I assumed the vulgar shit was coming from Blake, and I forgot that Ronnie is low-key vulgar himself. So Ronnie, text me. I'll tell you a story. But we ain't going there on air, my friend. All right. Let's see what else we got going on in the chat here. Byron Weaver. Hey, Byron. What's up, man? Says, Evil Dies Tonight was god-awful. It was. And then Byron asks if I'm going to H45 and Spooky Empire. I unfortunately am not, buddy. I wanted to go to H45. I really did. And just wasn't not able to work it out. I am going to Spookala in a few weeks, and I'm going to be meeting Nick Castle. So I'm excited about that. I figured I should pay up for Castle because it might be my only chance. You know, all these people are getting pretty old. Travis with a good point. We did not have any peanut butter jokes. That's true. That is true. Joe is the number one Laurie lover, he says right here. I'm just kidding. Joe does not like Laurie Strode. Scott, with Lindsay didn't have much lines in the movie, but at least she had a great fight and chase scene. Yeah, her chase scene was great. That was definitely one of the better parts of the movie. Wayne says, anyone bothered to count how many times that slogan was said in the movie? Evil Dies Tonight. I bet you it's not as much as we think it was. That's my guess. I feel like it feels like it was a lot more than what we got, which again is just poor editing and poor directing. Adam Howard, what's up, Adam? Says, if Halloween Kills was a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, Freddy would be serving evil fries tonight. Yes. Yes. I'm kidding, Joe. All right, let's get to the next good. Second here. All right, next good for me is the firefighter scene. Okay, Michael escaping Laurie's house. This is another thing. Man, apparently before a movie comes out, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Because this is another thing that I said I didn't want to see. I admitted that I would enjoy seeing it. But it's something I said I didn't want to see. I think it would have been better to not know how he escaped. All of a sudden, he's back, and it's like, holy shit. He was trapped down in that basement. How the fuck did he get out of there? Like, I think that would be cool. But this is a modern movie, right? No ambiguity allowed. So they showed it to us, and I knew they would. Why? Because it was marketing fucking gold. And it did not disappoint. You got the house ablaze. And I know there's some CG shit going on there. But when that firefighter falls down and you see the gun rack open and it's like, holy shit. And then you see, him kill that guy, pull the other guy down, and then he exits the Strode house. And you get that great shot of him holding the halogen or whatever the tool is, right? And he just starts wailing on these fucking firefighters. It's fucking great. That's going to be one of the highlights of the Halloween franchise. If they had put a montage of Myers doing his thing, that firefighter scene would have to be in it. So like I said, I didn't want to see it, but I'm glad we got it because it was cool as fuck. I really, really enjoyed that firefighter scene. I've never heard anyone say they didn't like that, to be honest. I wonder how much of the budget they blew on that, or if it was just, I didn't really read too much behind the scenes stuff. So yeah, firefighter scene, a big high in Halloween Kills for me. Allie agrees. Allie loves the firefighter scene. That's a good one. Byron says this is a good one. I don't know if this is a low or a high, but probably a low. Not seeing the actual death of Lonnie Elam on screen. Yeah, we just hear the gunshot, and then Cameron and Allison go in there. Joe talking about Lindsay Wallace. It's so obvious they forgot about her and ends and had a rush to find a way to put her in. None of her scenes had any impact. They were self-contained filler. Yep, agreed. She probably wouldn't have even been in there if she wasn't friends with Jamie Lee Curtis. All right, let's see. Super chat from Simon Rolfe. Hey, Simon, how you doing? Thank you for the super chat. Sends in $5, says, you said happy Halloween. HH equals Heil H. Creepwatch said you were all right. Is that true? I don't know what you're talking about. These fucking jackasses come in here and try to ruin shit. Okay. Byron Weaver. The firefighter scene was great, but the trailer kind of ruined my expectations in seeing that scene. I wish they didn't show that in the trailer. Yeah, I'm of the same boat. You know, think about how awesome that would be if we did not get that in the trailer. Like, it'd be like, you'd be wondering what the hell's going on, right? Crazy, crazy. All right. Next low for me is the hospital stuff. Okay. Everything but Laurie and Hawkins dialogue. Okay. So Laurie and Hawkins, they have some great scenes in the hospital, but essentially everything else, idiotic to me, just idiotic. You know, it's probably the only part of most Halloween movies that I will literally fast forward through. Absolutely fast forward through that shit. It's just cringeworthy. You know, I'm supposed to believe that this guy that is like, what, 5 feet tall, a little chubby, I'm supposed to believe that all the residents of Haddonfield think that that could be Myers. And I get the message they were sending. I completely get that. But they went too far with it. You know, I can't sit there and believe that all these characters are that fucking dumb. And you just get all this chaos. You get, what's his name? The Sheriff Barker, you know, not doing shit in there. You get Laurie kneeing a doctor or some shit in the chaos. Just ridiculous. That whole scene, the message they were trying to send, you want to send a message like that? Fine. But I don't have to like it. Like, it's just ridiculous. So yeah, anything with involving the hospital chase and the evil Dyson Knight and the mob in the hospital, I just thought was terribly executed. And it went on way too long, right? It went on like 12 minutes or something like that. Maybe not 12 minutes, but it felt like 20. That's for sure. That hospital shit was ridiculous. So yeah, hospital stuff, definitely a low in the movie, and probably might be my biggest low of this new trilogy. I've never really heard anyone that actually liked that, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure there's people that like it. And if you like it, that is cool. I just don't. I just don't. Especially in a movie like this with all these highs, right? All the highs of this movie, we could have been having some other shit that was executed well. So it's unfortunate. All right. Let's see here. Michael Joe, hey, Michael, says, Michael should have come out of the hospital and killed everyone. Laurie Strode, Allison, and the sheriff. Yeah, could you imagine Michael just shows up at the hospital, kills everyone, and the movie ends? That'd be crazy. Allie says, I guess the hospital scene was the most disappointing for me. I love the hospital on Halloween 2, so I was excited, and it didn't pan out. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the hospital setting in Halloween 2 is so good. And obviously, it's a different time, a different movie, and they were focusing on an empty hospital, and it was eerie and all kinds of shit like that. So it would have been cool if we had some stuff more like that. Scott, all right. See, I knew we'd have someone that liked it. Says he actually liked the hospital stuff. It was suspenseful, and he didn't mind it. Good for you, Scott. See, I like when someone likes something and they own it. They don't just go with, you know, what the mass is saying and stuff like that. So yeah, didn't work for me, Scott. But there's a lot of things that don't work for me that people like. So yeah, glad you enjoyed it, and you don't have to fast forward it like I do. Adam says, pretty sure you can see a doctor leading the charge, smashing at windows in his own hospital. I'll have to rewatch. That's funny. That is funny. All right, next high. Next high for me in this movie are the kills. Okay. The kills in this movie are bad ass. We already talked about Michael escaping, right? Him, the firefighter scene, all those kills were badass. Then we get the kill of Phil and Sandra. Like, that is badass. You know, Sandra gets, you know, a fluorescent light bulb right through her fucking neck. Although, I guess technically that's not a kill, right? Because we found out she somehow survived in Halloween Ends. little ridiculous. But Phil's definitely dead because Michael stabbed him a bunch of times. We're going to talk about that in a second. And then you get some other standout kills. Cameron's kill, brutal kill. Not only does Michael like just beat him beyond belief, stab him. When he's walking down the stairs, he fucking twists his neck. Oh, just crazy. Just absolutely crazy. And then you get, who's the other one? Big John and Little John. We obviously don't see, I think it's Little John. Michael just kind of walks towards him, and we get the shot outside the window. But Big John, gets his eyes gouged, and that is ridiculous eye gouging. Absolutely ridiculous. Just crazy. But yeah, so the kills in this movie are fucking brutal. And they had to be, right? You're calling this movie Halloween Kills. You had to have some awesome kills in this movie. So my third high of this movie is the kills. Let's see what you guys got going on in the chat here. Michael Joe, was there deleted scenes in Halloween Kills? I mean, there had to be, but I haven't heard or seen much of that. Maybe someone in the chat knows if there were some deleted scenes that they have available. I haven't really seen any, to be honest, but there probably are. Maybe they're saving it for some type of special 4K or something. Yep, Byron agrees. The kills are brutal and fantastic. Yep, they really, really nailed the kills in this movie. It's awesome. Michael Winchester in the house. Hey, Michael. Says, what's going on, Nick? What's funny is I just watched the 2 recent Halloween movies yesterday during my all-nighter. Just finished the franchise yesterday. Nice. All-nighter, huh? You must be tired, man. But that's cool. Yeah, it's nice to binge some Halloween movies. Let's see here. Sorry, I lost my place in the chat. Travis says, Phil, what a great character. He was written very well. Yeah, I liked him too. For the, maybe a minute or so that we got him on screen, I thought he was very, very likable. I absolutely agree. See you later, Wayne. Thanks for stopping by, buddy. Joe says, what is it with characters in horror movies surviving things that should have killed them now? Yeah, I don't know. Talk to the writers of Scream 6, because that movie was on another level with shit like that. All right, I'm going to go to my next bad. And that is something that Travis mentioned earlier. And that is the legacy characters were absolutely wasted. Pretty damn cool that they decided to bring back Tommy Doyle, Marion Chambers, Lindsay Wallace, Lonnie Alam, Sheriff Brackett. I think that's it, right? Are there any other legacy characters they brought back? Am I missing any? I think that's it. But they bring these characters back from the OG, obviously from the OG, because this timeline picks up it right after the OG. But they bring these characters back, and they fucking wasted all of them, every single one, except for Lonnie, except for the one I didn't expect, right? Tommy, I've said this before, is terrible in this movie. And that's so unfortunate. That's probably the most disappointing. We didn't know Tommy's relationship with Lori. He rushes into the hospital, says one thing, stupid ass line again, dialogue again, right? You saved me 40 years ago. Would you say that? Would you really say it 40 years ago? How many times do you have to say 40 years ago? But Tommy's wasted. How is there not an epic showdown with Tommy and Michael? I'm going to talk about the mob scene, but how is there not an epic showdown? Tommy's rounding up all these people, and he doesn't get a chance to face off with Myers. The same little kid who saw Myers across the street, saw the silhouette across the street. Crazy. Just absolutely crazy. Absolutely insane to me. And then we have Marion with her stupid ass line, right? Her stupid ass line of, "This is for Dr. Loomis." Ridiculous. Lindsay, maybe she wasn't wasted in this. She had the good scene that I know Scott mentioned earlier. You know, probably the best, probably maybe the most tense or suspenseful scene in this. So she had that good scene. But then they rush her into the hospital, and then she's gone. And obviously they wasted her end, as Joe just mentioned. And then Brackett. Not only do we not get a scene with Brackett and Lori, but Lori goes to the place where Brackett works, and she's sitting there with Brackett the whole time. All you get is Brackett saying, "Lori? Like, what the fuck? Why did they deprive us of a scene of not having a scene with Brackett talking to Lori? You know, mentioning, you know, Annie. Why would they not have that? Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, they wasted all of these characters. We already talked about Marian's line. This is for Dr. Loomis. You know, they're just killed. You know, what do we find out about them? They meet at a bar. Right? They meet at a bar every Halloween. Unfortunate, because could have had at least some good dialogue. If they would have replaced some of the hospital stuff, in my opinion, with, you know, some of the stuff, just getting to know these legacy characters, would have been great. Now, like I said, Lindsay's probably an exception, and I think Lonnie Lamb is the standout of the movie for me. He was my favorite character in the movie, actually. Lonnie was. Pretty interesting stuff that they wasted that, because it was such cool. It was so cool when they announced that shit. So cool. But sadly, they wasted it. Yeah, maybe I will, Byron. Maybe I will do ends next. We'll see. We'll see. I want to talk a little Halloween as we get closer to October here. But all right, so that was my third low. I got two more highs and 2 more lows. Okay. Let's see. Scott says he's tougher than Jason Michael. Yeah, Rob Zombie's Michael Myers, as Michael Joe mentioned. Yeah, crazy. Here we go. Michael Winchester. The legacy characters were cool, but Tommy really pissed me off. He got that innocent man who jumped off the hospital killed in such a sad way. I honestly didn't care whether Tommy died after that. Yeah, I just, whatever they were going with Tommy, I just wish they would have fleshed out a little more. You know, I think they were probably trying to go with, you know, the whole events of 78 ruined his life, and, you know, he's, you know, angry and bitter or something now. And I just think they didn't flesh it out well enough. They just expected us to buy it, and I didn't. So yeah. Michael Joe says, Nick, would you be interested if Michael Myers was a zombie like Jason? I would not. I like zombie Jason. I mean, I like human Jason better, probably, but zombie Jason, let's leave Jason as a zombie. So I wouldn't be interested in that at all, probably. But I know a lot of people that would. I mean, essentially in some of these movies, he basically is a zombie. You know, like Halloween 4, even Halloween Kills a little bit. You know, he's essentially as badass as a zombie. So I guess what's the difference at some point, right? All right, my next highs on that note is going to be Myers in general and James Jude Courtney. The Myers we get in this movie is arguably the best Myers in the franchise. You know, for me, it's always going to be 78 because he's got that little bit of supernatural and human mix, and, you know, he's in one spot and he's gone, right? For me, it's always that. But James Jude Courtney perfected the fuck out of what he did in 2018, which was already great. And he just dominated every scene he was in this. You know, so many little subtle movements, you know, like turning his head first and then walking, little subtle things like that. You know, the brutality of the kills we already talked about. Just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. the mask looked amazing with half of it charcoaled or burned or whatever you want to call it. Just fantastic. The way he was lit in this movie was a huge, huge improvement on Halloween 2018. Halloween 2018 wasn't lit horribly, but I thought they could have done better. And I think in this movie they really did. Now, maybe that's because, this whole movie takes place under a cloud of darkness because it's later that night and it's at nighttime, the whole movie. But even scenes in the houses and different houses and things like that, they did a much better job of lighting Myers. And he is absolutely terrifying in this movie. Absolutely terrifying. And, you got to credit the director of photography, and you got to credit James Jude Courtney and what's his face? What's the guy that did the Christopher Nelson? Christopher Nelson. Yeah, all of that was just on point. So yeah, and we've dealt with a lot of shitty Myers, a lot of shitty masks throughout this franchise. So it's refreshing to get a badass one like this. So Myers is a big highlight for me. Okay, let's see here. Ellie says, "What's next? Will they bring him back with lightning in a cemetery?" Yeah, that is. They're gonna make him a zombie. That is one way. Let's see here. Okay, next bad. And I kind of touched on this. Some of this other stuff I kind of touched on, but I'm going to nitpick for a moment here. My next bad is the stupid ass town, the town of morons. Okay, I already talked about the thing with what's the other mental patient's name, Travoli or whatever the hell it is. Everyone says Danny DeVito, right? Because he's kind of shaped like Danny DeVito. So we already get that, right? Already get that. And then you get other little moments where, for instance, in the bar, they hear that there's a couple of escaped mental patients, right? And, I don't know if they say it's Myers or not, right? But you get the two mental patients that escape, Myers and Travoli. And then what happens directly after that? The nurse and doctor couple go outside. They're going to leave, get back home, right? Logical. Let's get home. And, he's like, "Oh, I forgot something inside." So he leaves his wife to go get the car in some dark alley by herself after you're just told that there's an escaped lunatic. What the fuck? Or two escaped lunatics, right? What the fuck? Like, just stupid moments like that just makes this town a bunch of morons. Just watch the hospital shit again and see them all going nuts. I know, mob mentality, right? Misinformation, as Jamie Lee Curtis says. But it's just hard to buy that the town is this stupid. And I know you got to do that in a lot of horror movies. Characters make dumb decisions, right? It's become a trope. But there was just too much. And it was just on top of everything else. It just stood out to me. So the town being dumb is my second last low of this movie. My final high of this movie is something I never thought I'd say after watching 2018. And that is the kind of the arc, or I don't know if it's an arc, but we'll call it the redemption of Karen's character. Karen was not likable in Halloween 2018, up until the gotcha moment, right? I didn't think she was likable at all. I think that she was supposed to not be likable, right? That's how she was raised. She's wearing the Christmas sweater, obviously, all kinds of shit. And she's not supposed to be likable. She has that gotcha moment. It's like, okay, that was pretty clever. But I think she was excellent in Halloween Kills. I think she was believable in the hospital stuff. I know she had the scene with Travoli touching a hand. I don't care about that. But I think her arc was good. And I think that it was her at the end to lure Michael to the mob. Minus one line where she's like, "I'm an innocent woman, just like your sister." It's like, would you really say that? Dialogue again. Fucking dialogue. Ugh. Crazy. But I thought Karen's character had a great, like I said, I don't want to call it an arc, but I thought she was very good at being both a mother and a daughter, with your child in danger and your mother, in danger, because of, her vendetta that, she's been obsessed with her whole life. I thought Karen was a lot more likable in this, and I really enjoyed what they did with her character. Now, she made a bonehead decision, obviously, a couple bonehead decisions, stabbing Michael on the shoulder instead of the head at the end. And then, going up to the Myers house, going up to Judith's bedroom, right? Those are bonehead decisions. Obviously, it cost her her life. But she saved Allison, right? She was pretty good trying to talk some sense into Laurie at the hospital. I liked what Judy Greer did. I liked her acting choices in this. We finally got a scene of her and Allison acknowledging Ray's death, which, however you feel about Ray, and I know most people don't like him, however you feel about him, at least, it's believable. It's more believable when characters will mention that, your dad and husband died, and then, just not mentioning it, like Halloween 2018. So I thought Karen's arc, a redemption story, or, more likability, was very well done in Halloween Kills. One of the few well-written parts. Okay. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Then I'm going to get to my last bad of the movie. Scott says, Nick Castle and Dick Warlock will always be the best. James Jude Courtney did a great job in the third spot. Yeah, I think for me, those are the top three as well. My ranking on that would probably depend on the day. Barry makes a good point. The SFX was fantastic throughout this trilogy. I agree. They did a good job. Very good job with that. Michael Joe, how can a Halloween game be made? Oh man, I don't know. It'd be cool if they had like a Halloween game that was like, what's it called? Grand Theft Auto, where you just kind of drive through Haddonfield and there's various different missions and you're avoiding Michael, and you maybe in the next town over is Russellville, or then you drive a little while and you get to the town in Halloween 3. Something like that would be kind of cool. I don't know, but it'd be fun. Definitely play it. That's for sure. Michael Winchester says, yeah, Haddonfield was filled with idiots, especially at the hospital. My God. Yeah, dude, for real. All right. My final, I guess we'll say final low of this movie. Final low of this movie is going to be the mob scene. We're building up to this crescendo, right? This crescendo of this battle between the town of Haddonfield and Michael Myers. Finally, Tommy's rounding up the troops. They've set an epic trap. And what do we get? They beat the fuck out of him, right? Cool. The gotcha moment, the horrible bracket thing. Fine. Karen stabs him in the shoulder, and she goes back to check on Allison. Tommy's like, we got this. Okay. And then, you get Laurie's voiceover with their Shakespeare speech, right, to Hawkins. And Michael essentially stands up and kills everyone. The way this was edited together or shot was god-awful. Absolutely god-awful. They never showed us like a shot, like an establishing shot to show us where everyone was in relation to Myers. So it's literally just Michael getting up, and one person comes at him, he kills him. Next person comes at him, he kills him. Next person comes at him, he breaks the guy's arm and kills him. Tommy raises the bat and he stabs Tommy in the gut. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. The editing in that was horrible. And I know that was a stylistic choice. An absolute stylistic choice, right? It just did not work for me at all. And we won't even get into the fact that, should he have survived that or whatever. Okay. It's Myers. We've suspended our disbelief on worse than that before. Fine. But the way it was shot and just the whole thing, everything about it was just weird. It was like a fever dream. I just didn't like the stylistic choice. And like I said, that was intentional. That was absolutely intentional. Um, so yeah, for me, the mob scene and kind of the culmination of the movie and the crescendo of what we were building towards just didn't work for me. So that's it. So those are my highs and lows of Halloween Kills. We're gonna get to the chat for a couple minutes, guys, and then I'm gonna call it a night. Like I said, I was gonna make a video on this, but I thought it might be fun to go live. Ellie, yeah, you can strap Michael to a car. Yes, that people did not like that in Halloween Ends. That was weird in Halloween Ends too. Very weird. Byron Weaver, my final nitpick is the job scene and the writers of Halloween Kills. Probably the mob scene. Yep. I'm right there with you, Byron. Michael Winchester, if a Halloween game was ever made, Michael Myers should be playable at the end and even have Corey, the wannabe Michael Myers trainee, as a playable character too. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. Michael agrees. Michael Joe agrees, I should say. Playable as Michael Myers. Yeah, who knows? I think it'll all depend on the how the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game does, and the rights and things like that. I'm sure the Arcades are not going to turn down opportunities to make money, especially while the franchise is on a most likely a little bit of a hiatus here until the next movie, and there will be another movie at some point. Whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, who knows? There will be another movie. So maybe they'll take advantage and keep Myers in the pop culture with a video game or TV show or whatever. Michael Winchester says, can't wait for the highs and lows of Halloween Ends, Nick. It's been fun. Yeah, maybe I will do Halloween Ends. Maybe I will. I guess the reason I did this is, like I said, I just think Halloween Kills has the highest highs and the lowest lows of David Gordon Green's trilogy. So that's kind of why I decided to do this. Whether I should do Halloween Ends or not, I'll think about it. I don't want to make a whole show like this permanently because it's a little too similar to Slaughtered Lamb. If you guys don't know Frank and Darren on the Slaughtered Lamb, good guys, by the way, really good guys. And I don't think they give a shit, but they do a show, the best and worst of, and they have all these kinds of movies and they go with the best character and things like that. It's awesome. It's a great show. And like I said, great channel. And they are, from what I've heard and the interactions I've had with them, they're both great guys. So I'm not going to rip off their shit. But this was fun, and maybe I'll tweak it a little bit. But I definitely wanted to make sure I did this with Halloween Kills. Joe's got a point here. The only problem is that Michael doesn't really fit in that style of game. He's not going to really do a good chase or anything like that. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. It'd be interesting what they do. They'd have to make it a little more nuanced, I think, with Halloween than Friday and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It would have to be a little more subtle, and I don't know if people would like it that much, or they just want, Michael killing people. They want Halloween Kills, right? So yeah. So that's it for me, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll try to get another video out this week. We'll see. But if I don't, hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next time.